gracias. Thank you very much. Well, this is my first ever time in Mexico. I've never been here before, and it's crazy awesome. It's crazy awesome. This morning at 6 in the morning, I was in a hot air balloon, looking over the pyramids, just out of the city. Insane, are you serious? It's crazy. That's like proper amazing. Thank you for having me, and thank you for welcoming me so beautifully. I've been so excited to visit Mexico for basically as long as I can remember. And so I've traveled here all the way from London. I arrived on Tuesday. And tomorrow I have my first ever show in Mexico City. Which is just, it's so awesome. And in fact, tomorrow's show is the first show of my world tour. This year I'm doing a world tour for Jesse Volume 4. And I've been really just so excited for so many years, honestly. Definitely weeks and months, but years for this exact moment. So thanks for sharing it with me. It's really, really nice. Basically, I'm just here to hang out with you guys. And I'd love to answer any questions that you might have about music or life. They're quite similar, actually, but we can get into that later. Harmony questions, rhythm questions, live performing questions, kind of anything you want. But before we get into questions, you can you to think up some questions. Now, I'll just tell you a bit about myself. I'm Jacob. And I come from England, which is a long, long way from here, and I love it dearly. And I make music, amongst other things, and have been doing so for 29 years. That's my age. And over the last over the last 10 years or so, I've been sharing that music with the world. It was sort of being created far, far beyond that, back into my deep childhood. But I've learned so many things in the last 10 years. And much as I could sit here and say I've learned about Lydian and diminished and altered and all that stuff, I've mostly learned about life. And I think when you live a good life, it factors straight into your music. It offers itself right into your fingertips. And whatever you do as a musician, I think it's really important. In fact, my good friend Quincy Jones often says, make a life, not a living. Which I really like that. I think that's very important. We need to be sparked by the things in life, and that's what sparks our music. So I find that very interesting. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about how it works to be a creative person and a musician. It's not always an easy thing to be in the world. The world is quite determined to sort of make us go down the straight and narrow and follow the rules and stop us getting too crazy. And so I've enjoyed being a little bit too crazy sometimes, stretching it. And I think I've learned a lot of things about music, but one thing I would say is that music is, first of all, it's for everybody, and it's made of everybody. There's no such thing as good music and bad music. That's made up. It's just the music that feels right for you. You build yourself a world, an inner world, and the describing of that world, that's what connects with people, way more than any skills that you might have or knowledge that you might possess. And I think that all the connective powers that you have come from you, the person, not from you, the musician. But music is a tremendously powerful language when it comes to extending your humanity through other people, I also think music is inherently very simple. It's a very simple thing, and it's built out of very simple principles. The kind of most fundamental building blocks and axes of music. You think about things everybody in the world understands. Big, small, everyone knows about this. Everyone feels this. High, low, everyone understands that. And then some more advanced things like, departing and returning. Everyone understands the feeling of leaving some place or moving away, and then the feeling of coming back. And so a lot of music is about the process of sculpting journeys that remove you from a situation and then return you to it in a satisfying way. So much of music is about, you could say, tension and release, creating tension and then having it be released, And every great story, if we think about storytelling, every great story is built from those building blocks. The idea that you create characters that are interesting, inspiring, challenged, deep, and then those characters go on journeys, and you go on the journey with them, and you feel all the things that they're feeling, and as they move through the world, you learn how to move through the world differently. And then when they eventually come back around, come home, or move somewhere else, you're moved with them. And so the art of making music is the art of moving people, not reaching people. That's different. I think a lot of people nowadays who I speak to about the music industry think about the idea of making the best music is about reaching the most people. But that's actually not true. You can reach people, but for me, definitely, I found that the most interesting music I think that I make and that I hear other people make are when it's music for the depth of itself. It's not music that's trying to reach a whole bunch of people. If you move a person, then that person is moved for life, even if it's in a small way. And I've really fallen in love with, I think, that as a concept. And I think it's important to bust the myth that the best musicians are the people who reach the most people. I don't think it works like that. But you can reach as many people as you like as long as you're moving them. That's also joyous, joyous to understand. I grew up mostly as a self-taught musician. My mother, Susie Collier, who's like a timeless legend, shout out Susie Collier. She is an extraordinary teacher, very, very gifted teacher, but she's like a master enabler, I like to think of it. So she gives so much permission for people to be who they are. So when I was growing up, it wasn't about, piano lessons, violin lessons, bass lessons, drum. It wasn't any of that. It was just about creative conversations and conversations that reminded me of the world and how awake the world is. And I think I was always played a lot of music in the house. So like for me growing up, my childhood heroes were like Stevie Wonder, massive hero of mine. Bach, ooh, so great. One of the best. Stravinsky, killer. Woo, come on. Well, that was the biggest cheer. Even more than Stevie Wonder. It's interesting. I love listening to Queen when I was growing up. I love listening to Sting when I was growing up. Sting, beautiful. So many different kinds of musicians, but I never thought about the idea of genre until someone asked me, I think I was about 14 or 15, so I said, hey man, what genre do you like? I thought, I have to pick one? I have to pick one genre that I like, and that's my lane? And I could never answer that question. And then it became, well, what kind of genre do you make? I thought, I don't know. I just make music. I make music that feels right to me. Sometimes that's like folk music, sometimes it's death metal music, sometimes it's jazz related or pop related or electronic or whatever. It's cool. You can do whatever you want, And that's one of the joys of music is it's wide open. You can take it anywhere. You can take yourself anywhere. And so over the years, I've really enjoyed the process of learning, just how these principles kind of work emotionally. I think that's been one of my biggest joys. For example, here's a grand piano. Oh, by the way, this is Jethro the crocodile. Jethro. Yeah, Jethro he just got washed for the first time in 5 years. So he's really clean. Oh, that's kind of crazy. Anyway, Jethro, Mexico. Okay, cool. If you sing, can you sing a D? Very good. Can you sing a higher D? Up there. Yeah, keep singing that note. And examine the feeling of being this note as I change the chords around. Okay, ready? So. Cool? Lovely? Nice. Cool. So that process of keeping one thing the same and changing other things, there's a lot of the best music is designed based on that principle. So you were just the note D for a while, and the note D in the chord of D major is very different from being the note D in the chord of E flat major. Right? It's like if you're a D in E flat major, then you're making tension. You're the tension maker. You're fighting against the chord. Or if you're D in the chord of D flat 7, it's like, whoa, it's really tension. But then if I become a C major, then you're wider. Do you experience this? You feel it. So this is an amazing thing, and one of the like unspeakable magics of music is that without saying a word, I can put feelings into the room, and you share them. You know, you feel adjacent or similar things to the things that I'm feeling, and so when I improvise at the piano, which is what I do a lot of the time, it's one of my favorite hobbies, and I'll do it on stage tomorrow. Probably haven't planned the show yet, so I'll do lots of improvising. A lot of the process is of finding something I like, or sometimes starting with a song that I wrote or know, and modulating your perspective different, so that you have an emotional experience when you're listening to the flow. And there's no greater joy than this for me, especially when I'm on stage, because there's something about being comfortable without knowing what's coming next. I always find that really important. And I think actually, if you look at the world right now, there aren't really clear answers to a lot of the world's biggest problems. And a lot of us, I think, definitely me included, live a life where we think, well, gosh, how can I help? You know, how do I understand these problems? How can I plan a future? How do I imagine myself into, you know, what's coming next? And I think music teaches us many things, but one of the greatest things is to be comfortable, truly comfortable, without knowing that things are certain, and without necessarily knowing what's coming next. And you can talk about this harmonically, you can talk about it rhythmically, you can talk about it lyrically, compositionally, melodically, and in terms of humor as well. You know, you can take people by surprise in interesting ways. I've always found that to be very reassuring, and it kind of hooked me into music at a young age, the idea that you can explore basically everything there is to explore about life. You can explore through music. I often think about this, but music, right? When we learn music, we learn, you could say, all there is to know. I know that's quite a big thing to say. But we learn mathematics, physics, history, geography. We learn language, spelling, syntax, communication skills. We learn empathy, trust. We learn physicality. We become athletes in a sense. We learn patience. We learn storytelling. We learn trust, mentorship. All of that knowing, all of that teaching and studying, that's all life stuff. And so there's like no better thing to study in my mind than music when you do it right, because it's about being open and about being curious about the world, and then being unafraid to kind of explore it on your own terms. There have been a lot of moments in my life, creative life, where people have said, hey Jacob, you know, you can't do it like that. That's wrong. You can't put this note in this chord. Are you crazy? You know? You can't play a D major chord and put an F on the top. You can't do that. You're not allowed. But actually you can. It's beautiful, right? And the same thing goes for many other chords and other parts of music. For example, you could say, well, you can't have a G7 chord and put an F sharp in it. You can't do that. But that sounds great, right? Because the F sharp wants to rise, and the F wants to sing. Right? So even though that's like, it's still fine, you know? And I love this, because time and time again, I'm reminded of the infinity of choices, and how basically if you commit to something that you feel is right to the story you're telling, it is right for the story you're telling. There's no such thing as that chord isn't in the book, so you can't use it, or, you know. And I think a lot about mixing and production. You know, at this point I've produced and released 5 albums by myself, including some collaborations from unbelievable artists, but the process of mixing is something I do by myself, and I love it so much. And a lot of the techniques I've learned about producing, mixing, beat making, sound design, I've just kind of fallen into it by accident, you know? Like I never sort of took a class, like, okay, Jacob, this is how you have to design your sound. I just got a microphone for my 11th birthday and Logic for my 11th birthday. And then I just started messing about, you know? And gradually you find like recipes that you find satisfying. You think, I like that one, that's cool. I like that sound, I'll keep it for later, you know? And then I guess the process of the last few years and decades has been like amassing. It's like writing a recipe book of stuff that you just like a lot, stuff that you know works. And I often think about how important it is to listen to what you like, and how important it is as a starting point for so many things. First of all, I think it's important to define your life based on things you like, not on things you don't like. And it's easy actually to start saying, oh, I don't like that. Oh, I'm not the kind of person who listens to that music. Oh no, this I don't like the way it now. I don't like that. Oh, I would never go there. I'll never do that. And this becomes your main like emblem, your signage. It's like, I don't like this. These are my main features. But actually, it's so much more important to say, well, here are some things I genuinely love. Like, I like mango, you know. I'm just going to say it, you know. I like Crocs, you know. You can say, hey, I love it, love to see it. My man. But, you know, saying, it doesn't matter how small the thing may be, or you say, I love music. But, you know, the idea of collecting things that you like and building a language out of those things is really cool and really interesting. So I like this chord. I like that because it's a great chord. So I'm going to put it in my language book. It's like a vocab book, in a sense, you know. I spent a lot of time as a child, I wouldn't necessarily say practicing, kind of like this kind of thing. But I would say, okay, I like this chord. Let's see, even to say this chord, that's a beautiful chord, don't you think? I love it. So I play this chord in all the different keys, and you find how it feels to move between all the different chords in different ways. And you can get to know chords in this way. It's like your chords become your friends in the same way that other elements of music become your friends. You know, it's like you literally amass a language of stuff that's important to you, and then you build your work and your creations out of that stuff. And if something doesn't interest you, that's fine. That's cool, you know. And if something you make is not interesting to people, that's fine as well. Not being interested in something is not judgmental. It's like if I put a spoonful of salt in your mouth, you might be like, oh. But that doesn't make the salt invalid. It just means that it's not for you today, or you haven't met salt in the right context. You know, you might want some chips, or you say fries or chips, what would you say here? Both? Okay, yeah. Fries probably right, because okay. But yeah, the idea that, you know, I might not like one chord in one situation, but actually in a different context, it's the perfect chord, you know? So it's important to stay open and to create things freely and not in fear of other people's judgment of you, and also not in fear of your own judgment, because even things I've thought were bad or not cool have ended up being cool by accident later. So I'm glad I haven't completely disposed of them, and I've remembered the things that I liked, and I put them in my secret stash, you know. There's like a stash in here, this pocket, of all the things I like in the world. But it's invisible to you, but it's all in here for me. So yeah, I think that's a lovely way of learning music, and that's not to say that, you know, you only pick from you only need to pull from concepts that interest you right now. I think a lot of things I learned as a child were from exploring concepts or being shown concepts that maybe didn't interest me at the time, but in my exploration of them, seeing them through to the end, you learn, actually, I do like this thing about that thing, you know? And then you end up incorporating different elements into different things, and no one can tell you what to create other than you. That's up to you. That's something that you have control over, and that's important to remember. So anyway, to sort of sum up my whole thing, I think I've definitely been creating music for my whole life, but the last 10 years has been very interesting because it's been about sharing some of the things that I've made with the world, which is a very interesting experience. And I've toured all over the place. I've really fallen in love with the idea of being on a stage and being comfortable on a stage, just to sort of be me. I think I used to think that when I went on stage I had to be really good or something. But actually that being good is overrated. It's not about being good. Who cares? It's just about being comfortable. And it's the same thing about things you make, you know. If I make something really, really good, it's like literally who cares, you know? But if I make something that's interesting to me, then it's probably going to be interesting to some of you. Or if I make something that I find challenging to me, then it might be challenging to some of you. Or if I make something that feels bold or feels unusual, or something that feels very, very honest, those are all very good principles to think about. But the idea of, this is bad or good, so it doesn't really exist like that. At least to me, it doesn't exist like that at all. Some of my favorite singers in the world are bad singers, you know. I remember there's a singer called David Byrne. Do you know David Byrne from the Talking Heads? He has an amazing quote. He says something like, the better the singer, the harder it is to understand what they're saying. Which is actually really kind of true, because you know these amazing singers who are very, very good at singing, but they're not actually necessarily saying something that is touching you, you know? And also you can have someone who's you know, graveling around, but actually it is interesting, and it is cool, and it's challenging something. You can also have something that's very proficient and very fluid and very languid and very capable of being itself that is moving. I think that's an important myth to bust too, because it's not like, oh, you're very brilliant and technically good, or you're meaningful and deep. Like, that's crazy to me too. Because I spent a lot of my life sitting at pianos and drum sets and bass guitars and mandolins and computers and things, just trying to figure out how to have things make sense for me. And a lot of that concentration is about deepening your craft and deepening your language. But what becomes a part of that language is kind of up to you. The other great thing about liking things is that it's effortless, you know? If I give you some food, I think food is an interesting example. If I say, hey, taste this food, you don't have to decide if you like it or not. You don't say, okay, let me just calculate. Yes, I like it. You know, you don't have to do that. It's like an instantaneous feeling. Yeah. Or like, no, I don't want this today. This is not for me. And the same goes with a lot of things in the creative process, but definitely with musical elements. It's like, you know, you're attracted to things effortlessly. You don't have to try to be attracted to things. And it helps to start building music out of things that you're attracted to, in a sense. So for me, I was always attracted to these chords that had like lots of notes in a row, you know? These kinds of sounds, or like, wow, you know? Wow, amazing. These kinds of sounds with tension in them. It's great. It's so juicy, like mango juice. And so I didn't decide to like those chords. It wasn't a decision. I have no agenda here. I don't have a point to prove. You know, I just like the chords. So well, it's cool then to build a language out of that kind of stuff. And I love that stuff. And I also love chords like this. That's a great chord. Or, you know, or you could say, it's lovely, isn't it? And the process of, essentially just finding sounds that you like and then figuring out why you like them. I think for me that's like one of the biggest things. And that doesn't just go for musical instruments, it goes for sounds and production choices. So, you know, for example, like in pop music, there's a lot of that. They call it sidechain compression. All that stuff. I always thought that was really cool, you know. So you have to figure out, well, why do I think that's cool? I think it's cool because it kind of moves like that, you know. And then you figure out how to make it. You watch a YouTube video saying, how do you make this sound? And you figure it out. Or you make up your own solution. You know. Back in the day, I used to automate. In production software, there's this thing called automation where you get to draw in lines for certain parameters of your sounds. And so I would have certain sounds. I'd draw in every single beat. I'd draw for the whole song, you know. And then I realized you can put a compressor on it and blah, 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 blah. But... you know, it's fun to be open to everything that you like and believe that there's a way of making it all make sense, because there's a way of it all making sense, and I love that. I think that's cool. Is that making sense to you? Yes. I mean, I can obviously just keep talking, but I'm really curious about your questions, and if anyone has anything they'd like to specifically poke me about or ask me about, feel free to ask your questions. Yeah.
So, hello, Jacob. You too. So, my question is regarding the way you approach an arrangement and in production, because it is known that you know how to make a song work with only your voice, but also you manage to merge all of these ingredients like collaborations, instruments, styles, genres, melody, etc. So, the question is, how do you stay true to the idea of the song, knowing there's endless possibilities?
Yeah, that's a lovely question. It's a really, really great question. I think the first thing is not to be afraid of trying too many crazy things. At least for me, I love the thing of just being like, if an idea comes to me, I'll just throw it on the wall. You know, it's like sometimes I think about making music like throwing paint. You know, if you have an idea, it's like put it on the wall. Everything's welcome. And you trust that there'll be a way to do that. I mean, there's a lot in what you just said. I think that the collaboration is very interesting, working with other people. There's also, in a sense, like a production part of the question about like how to make things make sense. I think when it comes to collaboration, I made an album called In My Room. It's the first album I ever made. I made it by myself in London. And that process taught me so many things. But by the end of it, I even toured that just with a one-man show, so just by myself on stage. But by the end of it, I was so ravenous for collaboration. But I was also like slightly terrified by it because I didn't know what to expect. And what would it be like to try and incorporate other people's voices? You know, you said I know my own voice so well, and what would it be like to fashion things outside of that? And so the only way to learn something is to try it. You know, so I thought, well, I'll put myself in the deepest part of the swimming pool or the ocean, and I'll just see what happens. And so I said, okay, I'm going to make 4 albums, and I'm going to collaborate with like everyone I want to work with in the world who will agree to my crazy plan. You know. So I sent like 50 or 100 emails or DMs and things. Hey, I'm Jacob. Do you want to make this over? And you know, I was really blown away at how many people said, you know, yeah, I'll give it a go. But I didn't know how to mix orchestra, you know, for example, until I tried, you know. So I went to record orchestra in Holland for Jesse Volume 1 and also Jesse Volume 4. And recording orchestra is crazy. You know, there's 80 microphones in a room, one for every musician, massive string section, brass section, woodwind, percussion, and lots of room mics as well. And so I went home and put them in Logic, and it's like, where do I even start? You know, where do you even start? And so I ask people for advice a little bit. So I, for example, when I realized that when you have an orchestra and you're panning things around, you're moving things left and right, it actually really helps to pan things as if you were the conductor of the orchestra. So you put all the violins on the left, all of them on the left, not like violin 1, violin 2, violin 3, violin 4, which is what I would have done for my own voice. Because if I'm doing, you know, high voices, middle voices, low voices, I tend to scatter them all down, but all the violins here, all the trumpets up at the back, you know, all the cellos and basses over there, I didn't know that stuff until I tried, you know, but I think the process of just giving things a go has been really helpful for it, and there's not really one way of it working always. You have to try as many things as you can. So, you know, for example, like mixing the vocal of someone like Camilo, right, is a very different experience from mixing the vocal of someone like T-Pain, you know, or Umo Sangare from Mali, Africa, or Tori Kelly, you know, like, hey. Yeah, they're all so different from each other. So the only way to ever really know is just to try things, and you amass a knowledge of stuff that works for you, I suppose. But yeah, it's not like there's one tried and tested method for things always working. But I love the challenge of just thinking like, I know there must be a way of this working. There must be, and then there always is. But sometimes it takes a lot of patience. You know, you have to think, oh, I'm really going to spend time on this. I'm really going to get it right, and. You know, Jesse Volume 4 was a hard album to finish. You know, it's like so much potential and so many songs, hundreds of songs, all these different things. I thought, how do I finish this album? But you just have to believe that you're going to get there in the end. And every song is like solving a different puzzle. And then you solve it, it's like, oh, I did it, you know. And then I like slept for 5 months, you know. I just woke up yesterday, but anyway, does that answer your question? Yeah, okay, amazing. Any other questions from anybody at all? Oh, we'll take one from over on this side. Yes, sir.
Who's your favorite Mexican artist?
Oh, Mexican artist. Okay, I had no idea that Santana was from Mexico. This was a mystery to me. But he is, right?
He is.
Crazy. I mean, he's a legend. Total, utter legend. But I would like actually some recommendations. Can people shout out some recommendations of... Okay, say one more. What is it? Guy Fanis. Can you write that down? Okay, cool. Oh, say.
Silvana Estrada.
Silvana Estrada. Okay, that's one. Okay, I'll take one more suggestion from over this side. Say it again. Domus. Thank you. That's right. I mean, there are so many. We could go forever like this. But this is a good place to start. Good place to start. Very good. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, thank you for coming here. I've always admired you. You remind me so much of me. Not to say that I'm the greatest musician, because I think you are. But the way you approach music, I feel the same way you describe. And my question is, what's the thing you would have liked to know earlier in your career?
That's a really good question. I think the thing I'd like to have known earlier in my career is that no one knows what they're doing. I think I used to think, oh, when I grow up, I'll know what I'm doing. And because obviously everyone else seems to know what they're doing, but they don't. No one knows what they're doing. Even me, I don't know what I'm doing. But I do have things I know I like. It's going to go back to the same thing. So I think I would have found that comforting as a young musician to realize that there aren't really any rules that you... It's not like you get to a level where you're like, all right, now I'm ready to start my thing. Like, when are you ready? I'm not ready. No one's ready, you know? You just have to get comfortable with going in and doing it. So I think that's actually quite an important point to make. You know, if you wait until you feel like you're ready to start releasing music or writing songs or playing the ukulele or whatever, then you could wait forever because there's not really a moment where you think, okay, I'm now ready. And I also think that some of the most qualified people make the least interesting stuff. So it's like a matter of just being like, you've already got all you need. You've already have everything you need to just start. Literally just go. And you don't have to get it right first time. You don't have to sort of, you know, like there's no way I would have just come out and made in my room on day one of making songs, you know. I had to do like 20 years of experiments, you know, and then 10 more years to get to Jesse Volume 4, and then in 10 years' time I'll be saying, oh, Jesse Volume 4, because now I've got the... But there's not really a time where you're ready, but I think there's a time where it feels right to start. But I think the main thing I'd say is, there's no such thing as reaching the point where you're good enough or ready enough, or enough people are listening, and you know, or you have the right... It's like, that stuff doesn't matter very much. It's just about like, do you want to share something to the world? Go ahead, you know? There's always people who are going to be grateful for you sharing things in the world. Yeah, cool. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions? Let's see over here.
Thank you. I really like your approach to music, and I feel very interested about it. But I think that musical theory is very interesting. I think it's very useful when we try to compose or even to play music with an instrument. But I have struggled in the way that I try to think about what I learn about music, what I have to think about music, and what I have to feel. I think the way you approach to music has to do a lot with feeling and discover your own sound and your intentions, what you want to tell to people through music. So I just want to know, in your opinion, how could I discover this balance between knowing about music, about musical theory, and feeling it? What can I expect when I think something's wrong, but I like it?
Yeah. Very important question. I love the question. Yes, as you say, it's about the balance, right? It's like the balance of, you could say, the left brain and the right brain. The left brain is like, the right brain, you know? And that's life. Life is about finding that balance. And honestly, it's hard to find it. I find it hard to find that in my life sometimes, because I love both sides so much, and sometimes I'll let one side take over, and it'll be like, oh, right brain, or like, right, left brain, everything's got to be right, you know. So I guess the short answer is there's no one way of doing it that I can definitely say. Definitely just follow these simple instructions and you will achieve the balance. But I think, you know, maybe it's important to differentiate the difference between practice and play, in a sense. You know, you can define these as the same, but you can also say, okay, well, in the state of practice, it's about like zoning in on the things that matter to you. And you can say from a theory perspective, from a technique perspective, or whatever. So it's like, okay, if you find a sound, any sound, say you find this sound, right? Classic. You know, I could, if I wanted to, I could just play this chord, and it doesn't have a name really. Just as I don't really have a name, someone just made up a name for me, Jacob. It doesn't really have a name. It's just a sound. But what I found interesting and helpful is, as I communicate to other people about this chord, I can say, well, this chord, there are properties of this chord that I can define for you that make it interesting to me. So, for example, like you can say this is a C13 flat 9 chord, if you wanted to, or you can say it's A major, or C major, you know, or you can say it's a bunch of weird intervals, you know, and I guess what I'm trying to say is there's many ways of defining a thing, but if I was going to practice incorporating this sound into my repertoire, you know, then it maybe it's important to think about, like, well, where does this want to move? So you might say, well, it wants to go there, you know, and then you come up with melodies that bridge the gap. So, you know, something like that, or so exploring the ins and outs of these chords. Now, some of this stuff, you could say some of this stuff is purely feeling based, and some of this stuff is purely like academic. But the truth is, there's always both things going on. So if I play a C13 flat 9 chord because I want to, and then I play F sharp major on the top of that, right? I mean, I could say, okay, well, the reason why this works is because the diminished scale includes all those and blah, blah, blah. But maybe more important than that is, well, I like this sound, and I like this sound, and I like this sound. So let's put them all together. And it's really interesting, and that's cool. All of those have emotional connotations, but me knowing that A major works over C is actually interesting when it comes to ways of making tension, because it means that any key I'm in, if I'm in B flat major, then I know that that chord is a particular kind of color, right? Or if I'm in E major, then I know that that chord works. You know, so I'd sit for hours figuring out all these chords. And you can say, oh, this is kind of left brain stuff, and it is in some ways. I'm figuring out the shapes that matter to me, but the thing that drove me to make that decision was just because I like the sound. So I think yeah, that's one thing I'd say. And I think, yeah, so in practice is about, again, zoning in, concentrating on something, understanding it, whether it's on theory terms or even just in your own terms. When I was a child, I used to make up my own words for stuff, you know. So I'd be like, oh, that's the, you know, or something. Like I remember discovering that C sharp works over C major with in the right context. And I thought, well, this doesn't have a name, so I'm going to give it the name Super Lydian. So I named it Super Lydian. And then I realized you can actually put every note in the world over C major. And that's every note in the world on the piano. And so I called it Super Ultra Hyper Mega Meta Lydian. And this is just a way for me to like interface it internally in my head. But I didn't read it. Like if there's something you like that there's not a name for, or if you don't like the name for it, then you can just make up your own names. You know, and that can be really helpful for me. But whether I understand a sound in a theoretical sense, like these are the components that make this work, or this is my own made-up word for it, or I don't know what it is, I just like it. You know, that's all fine. I think what really matters is that the way you incorporate that chord excites you, and if the way you use that chord is exciting to you, then yeah, then that's what's hip. That's where it's at. And you know, this chord, you've probably heard this chord in every like wedding reception, jazz pianist. You know. There is again. You know. Again, that's another one. I mean, I've heard that so many times. But what if I go? That's cool. Now, there's not a name for this chord, really. It's kind of like, I mean, if you really had to give it a name, you could say it's like E flat major 7 sharp 9. But it's like, I was going to say a rude word. That's messed up. The thing that matters is that the notes want to resolve. So then when I paint pictures, you know this tune, Misty? Yeah, exactly, yeah. What's that? I have no idea. But what do I know? Well, I know that fifths are cool, fourths are cool, A minor is cool, F sharp minor is cool, E minor is cool. You know? So you build stuff out of things you like, and yeah, I think a lot of the solutions I found in my early YouTube videos. I made these YouTube videos a long time ago, me singing different harmonies. And I would come up with some like really but like bananas harmonic solutions to problems. But one of the reasons why I was doing so is because I wasn't reading it out of the book. I didn't read the book on like how to harmonize jazz. I just listened to jazz and incorporated it in a world that I was building and kind of understood. And so you get these really weird sounds like, you know. And then occasionally you sweeten it, you know? Sweet. And I don't. If you said, "Oh, what are those chords and why are you using them?" I don't know. I'm not thinking about it like that. I could slow it down and explain every chord, but who cares, you know? And so it's about painting in bigger ways. And often when I'm improvising, I'm not thinking. This is another difference between practice and play. If I'm practicing, I'm kind of thinking about where I am, and if I'm playing, I'm thinking about where I'm going. So if I'm just playing, you know, if I say I'm playing Misty, I'm already in my head, right? And you sort of think ahead, and not just musically, but you think emotionally ahead. You think, okay, I'm in twisty, turny, and then I'm going to go into the thing, and then it goes, you know, and like that language, like it seems absurd to say it like that, but that's literally what everyone experiences with music. You know, all these experiences. So I hope that kind of answers the question, but I think it's very cool to explore things you understand and don't understand, incorporate both things, and don't be afraid to deepen and focus in on certain sounds you like, incorporate them into your like diet musically. But then when you play, there's no, you can do no wrong. There's no such thing as a bad decision. You just play and you see where it goes. And you can't just practice and not play, because otherwise you end up with all these theories about stuff, but you have no flow. And if you just play, it can be really fun. But sometimes you might be missing opportunities to zone in on certain things that could be useful colors for things you want to do in the future. So both things are really important.
So you have to feel first and maybe think later?
Yeah, I would say that's how I've done it. But you can also think first and feel later. That's fine too. You know, someone might say like, hey man, I'm a jazz piano teacher and I'm going to tell you that this chord here is a great chord, you should know about it. And you might think, okay, I'm not sure how do I relate to that chord? I don't know. But then you think about it, you think, okay, well, you know, whatever. But then as you play, you might find that sound crops up, and then it makes sense to you. So you know, there's no wrong way to learn something, I guess. It's not like don't learn from this brain, only learn from this one. Like open both brains up, and just go. Everything is welcome, and as something comes in, you kind of know where to put it or how to think about it. And you also don't need to think about it too much, because all the stuff that matters to you will already come to the surface, like whether you like it or not. So as far as the practice to play ratio is concerned, I've done a lot more playing in my life than practicing. I've just played so much in deep ways. And so for that reason, I'm not one of those people who's going to go, you know, have perfect technique and blah, blah, blah. But I do have a sense of I have a sense of how to create magnetism and sparks and gravity and stuff like this. So, you know, I find that stuff is more important in a sense.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome, for sure. How are we doing for time? Do we know how much time we have left? Anybody know? 30 minutes. Oh, we've got so much time. This is so much fun. Oh, okay, I'm going to take a question from over this side, because I haven't been over here yet. What's up, guys? Let's take a question from you.
Okay.
Hey, what's up?
Thank you. My question is kind of more personal to you. We have all seen your videos. You performing on stage, and we saw it here. It's amazing. I'm truly speechless. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
And you look, well, I would say this like a compliment. You look like a 5-year-old going to Toys R Us. You just like a pure feeling.
Uh-huh.
You love music. You love being to stage. love, like you said, moving the people with you, you know? So my question is, when was the first time that you, because you know how it feels, you know, when was the first time that you feel that certain feeling? I mean, it could be on your first show, or maybe when you create your first song, or maybe performing the first time to your mom on piano. And kind of a secondary question, was that the first time that you decided to involve in music all your entire life? That you want to dedicate your entire life to music?
Great question. Thank you for saying that. It's lovely. I don't know if there was one big moment where it was like, this is the moment, you know. I think there have been lots of moments like that. I think the first time I played the piano was probably like that. You think like, oh my God. Ah! Oh my God. Like, that's actually super important. And you know, when it comes to like, I'm going to slight diversion. I'll come back to the question. You know, stride piano. You know, like. All that stuff. Now, I used to love listening to this. The best way of practicing this, I found, was to play how it felt to listen to it, which is basically. I'm just doing this with my hands. But that feels kind of good, right? Like it's in time and stuff. Like that process is actually way more important than thinking, right, voice sings, this, you know, that thing. It's like, you can refine this. If I just concentrate a little bit more, think, okay, my hands, that's my voicing right now. I can refine it. It's kind of E-flatty, so like I know my eye has learned to see E-flat-ish on the piano, so I kind of know if I kind of aim in that direction, that's cool. And C7, that's his E-flat major. And C7 is not E-flat major, right? So F minor, not F minor, right? Yeah. Like, that's kind of it. That's kind of the essence of it. And then over time, obviously, you can think, okay, what C, maybe that is cooler than that, you know? But the thing never to lose is the feeling of that. So, you know, when you sit down as a piano as a baby or a 5-year-old, whatever, and that's the experience you have, that's a really valid experience. And it's actually way more valid than some of the experiences you have later on when it is about, God, I hope I get this right, you know. If I don't get this right, I'm not going to, this will be bad, you know. Or my teacher won't like it, or I won't have any friends, or whatever, you know. You start to think, oh, maybe I'm a bad person, you know. It's crazy. But yeah, I think there are so many stages of learning. I think, yeah, the first time, you know, you meet an instrument is always a fun one, because you think, oh, what the hell is this, you know? And then I remember the first time I recorded a song on Logic with a microphone. It was a really big moment. I thought, this is crazy. I can just sing what I want, and it goes on the computer, then I can move it around. It's like, I've done this in my head for so many years, but I haven't been able to do it. Oh, this is crazy, you know? And then I definitely remember, you know, the first time I was on a stage. I think back in the day when I was on a stage, you know, I wasn't comfortable in a sense, as comfortable at being outward. I was quite inward as a child, you know, and not in like a closed way. I was very open, but I wasn't like, I was just kind of in my own world, you know, and I'd be like, well, you know, hola. But I think over time you just learn how to be like, this is cool, and I'm kind of comfortable fooling around. I think that's probably something I do have in common with 5-year-olds. It's like 5-year-olds are cool with just being weird or silly, stupid, or whatever. And it's like obviously not full time, but I'm comfortable with just being whatever. And I believe that comfort helps people, because I think that people start thinking it's really serious. Like music is so serious. God, I'm gonna, but it's actually not really that serious. Like it's very important, but it's not serious. They're two very different things. Very important, but serious is like. That's not music. Maybe other things are like that, but I think one of the biggest ones that stands out in my memory was the first time I ever did the audience choir. It was a crazy moment. I was in San Francisco, end of February 2019, and I just got to the end of the encore, which is Blackbird by the Beatles. It's a great tune. And I was doing an F, classic key, classic. And so I got to the end of the tune, and you know, it was like, yeah. I was here, and then the crowd just went, and I think, wow, that's crazy. And I've always encouraged the crowd to sing along. It's always fun, you know. I do call and response. I've been doing call and response and clapping and stuff, all sorts of these things I've been playing with and trying out. But when they sang this chord, I thought, wow. And I came to the front of the stage and I looked out at the crowd and they were just going, I thought, wow, okay, so, okay, whoa. And they all went up. And it was just like, wow, that is a moment. I'll never forget the moment. I felt like there was a string that was like attached to my hand, and I had like pulled up. So it's like a church organ, like. And I was like, what is going on? You know, and then I didn't go too far that day because I was so blown away. I was just kind of like, this is too big. I don't know what I'm doing here. But I managed to get the chords to move a little bit around, and then I thought about it a lot after the show. I thought, hang on a minute. So if the crowd can be an instrument, then so many things become possible, you know? But it wasn't really till 2022 that I really, really got into the full range. I think for a while I stayed just within the comfortable range of like, and it was like, great. But then I remember the first show of the tour, 2022, I just remember going, and they went up, and I thought, this is crazy, like, there's no limits to this. And then I did this thing once at the end of 2022 in Rome, in Italy, Rome, and because I was trying to think, okay, the audience, they're very good at being in major key. They can always be in major scale, you know? But what if I want to do something that's chromatic? And I kept thinking, how could I get them to be chromatic without telling them? You know, and then I figured out, do you want to see the solution I figured out? Okay, so if we're in F, ooh, ooh, ooh. Cool, great. But, thank you. But my job, so with the audience choir, my job is to present a harmonic environment where over 50% of you are likely to go to the chromatic one. So the thing I figured out was if you go, right, and then I lower these two parts, then you will know you can do that, right? But that is not in F major. That's not in F major at all. So what I tend to do is I give you the eyes, you know? I'm like, do you know what to do, you know? And then the wrist is different from the hand. And that was literally, I felt like I'd won the World Cup when I did that. I was like on a stage and I was just like, yes! You know? It was crazy. And at the end of the audience choir thing, I like stopped the choir. Everyone just stood up, rah, like that. You know, Italians are very like, rah, they're very boisterous, but like the feeling in the room was like, I felt like I'd cut through like space-time or something, you know? I mean, it's all a bit dramatic, but it was a very cool discovery. So I think moments like that blew my mind and blew my mind even thinking about them, because it's like there are things that are possible that you just don't know are possible until you do them, you know, or you try to do them. And I often say, like, don't wait for things to be possible before you start doing them. You just have to start doing them, and then they become possible as you do them. There are so many things that I've done in my musical life, in my career, that kind of hadn't been done before, you could say. But I didn't plan that. I didn't think, I'm going to do things no one's ever done before. I just thought, I'm really interested in this. Why has no one done this? You know, why has no one written a song in D half sharp major yet? Why not? I'll do it. You know, okay, I'll do it. You know, or, you know, modulating to microtonal keys was one of these other things. I was kind of like, people have been studying this for, you know, thousands of years, so it's not like I'm the first person to be interested, but I found certain ways of getting between keys that I found so fulfilling in the popular song form that I was really inspired by. And so, yeah, I think moments like that too felt like I did an arrangement of a song called Moon River, and in the last verse of it, it goes to G half sharp major. And I think when I was singing the parts of that, like by myself in London, you know, just in my little room, and then I published it to the world, that definitely felt like a big moment harmonically for me, in a sense. It was like I've truly gone places here that I didn't think I could ever go to, but I've just been determined. Like I've got to find it. Like the feeling of it, the feeling of G half sharp major, or I think it's actually D. What is it? It's like D, E half flat, I suppose, is the key it goes to. But like, and I can't play it for you because it does not exist on here. But it's like a particular world, sonic world, that's just like unlike anything I'd ever heard. So the process of discovering it, it's like, wow, you know? And so I think, yeah, maybe that's the best answer to your question. It's like these moments where I'll try something that is new for me. And, you know, back in the day, these things weren't new for anyone. No, sorry, these things weren't new for anyone other than me. Like, it was just like, major? Are you serious? I know this sound. I found it. It's mine. Now I could do this sound in other keys as well. Oh my God, you know. And so, like, it's not that different, the feeling of discovering major to, like, the chromatic audience choir. It's just on a different scale, I think. But I live for those moments of discovering, like, oh man, I just found this. It's like, you wouldn't believe it. I just found this in the soil. You know, it's like I found, like, some old Aztec thing, you know. Like, yeah, what? This was crazy, you know. So, yeah. Does that answer your question? Okay, superb. All right, cool. Question from over this side. And we're going to go with you.
Hi. Not what do you think, but what's a good way to approach and manage the lack of inspiration when composing or arranging a song?
Great question, very good. So for me, I don't know where to be. For me, the best way of dealing with that is pick a starting point and lower the bar, in a sense. Like, try and make the worst song in the world. Have you ever tried that? It's really fun. Try and make the worst song ever written. And be surprised at how interesting your song is, because you're not afraid of trying weird stuff. So for me, I get kind of inspiration blocks, creative blocks, when I'm trying to be really, I'm holding tightly to a plan, or I'm trying to be really good. Like, come on, this has got to be like, oh, but that, or, you know, I want to impress someone, or I want to make, you know, and we've all been there, and it's an important part of learning. But I think for me, freeing yourself from that completely, being like, if I'm bad, that's fine. You know, I don't have to release the song. You just write the song and see where it takes you. That can be really helpful to me, because basically you always have everything you need to create. It's just sometimes there are blocks in place that are your mind or body's way of trying to protect you. Like, it's just trying to protect you. It's fair enough. But also, you don't need the fear. You never need the fear. It's never helpful. So it's like, for me, and I think about this a lot, it's like, it's finding ways out of the fear where it doesn't have to define a process. You know, and it might be, yeah, the fear of, oh, what if I haven't done this enough in this song? Or what if this person won't like it? Or what if I don't know. I mean, there's endless, you know. Or what if I'm trying to be too clever? Or what if I'm not being clever enough? Or, you know, what if I haven't used enough materials? Or what if I've used too many? Or Or, you know, and sometimes you can't explain it. Sometimes you're just like, oh, why do I just feel like I don't want to, you know. And those are hard feelings to have because, you know, at least for me, I take it personally when I'm not feeling creative. I'm just like, what is wrong with me, man? Like, I'm Jacob, come on. I've got to be creative all the time. But it's like, again, it's like if you remove the idea that you have to be great or you have to be creative or you have to be excellent or whatever, you just think, literally, if you make anything, even if it's just one note, and that's today, that's fine. Like, and that's really important to remember that. And sometimes it's just about saying, I will make something no matter what. And not saying, I will only make this if it's good. I think that's the thing. You can say, well, no matter what it is, I'm going to write something today, even if it's a song about toast, like that was today. But normally, once I've got into the state where it's like, oh, so I can write about anything, toast, and then I write a great song about toast. Because I'm not worried about toast being weird, or because I've freed myself from the idea. And obviously, you know, when I say it like that, it's like it's easy. I'll just free yourself from fear. It's like a life's work, you know. I know those voices. We all do. It's part of life. But I think what music has taught me and can teach me, and the creative process can teach me, is how safe you can feel at going through it. And the confidence you can build from saying, "Oh, I don't mind if I'm wrong, or I don't mind if I'm bad," or you can say, "You don't like it, that's fine." You know, it's like these processes. I know the real Jacob. I know the real Jacob doesn't mind what anybody thinks. It's just being Jacob. You know, same with all of you. It's like your true self is just wanting to build things and just wanting to express things. Isn't making any judgments. Why would it help you to make a judgment of someone else? You know. Your true self doesn't do that. Your true self just notices things and is interested in things and is drawn to things, and that's cool. So it's like tuning back into that voice, even when it's so compelling to think, no, you know, you think, come on, it's fine, it's okay, you know. And it's also fine if you don't want to make something. You know, you can just not make something you don't want to. Right? I've never believed in the idea it's like you must make something, you know, or anything like that. I mean, people have tried to do that with me, and I'm just like, no, I can't. Like I try, and it's like no, and I think I'm definitely like thinking of like what my mum would say here. But like my mum she would never force something. If it's not meant to be today, it's not meant to be. It's fine. You know, you have to make something work. But if there's a part of you that wants to make something work, there's always a way you can let something out safely, without being shut down by all those voices. But yeah, making bad stuff is fun. I'd recommend it. Yeah, it's really good. Okay, question from the middle, somewhere in the middle. Yes.
Hi. I'm such a huge fan. But I have to be honest, and I'm not like a really professional musician. I'm more like a dancer, and that is my question about, like, have you ever collaborated with other artists, like dancers or like theater or actors, like movies? Because like you said before, music is everywhere. You can learn everything, and like when I watch your videos, I watch you dance, because you dance with your music, but it's different than my type of dance or any. So, returning to my question, have you ever collaborated with other kind of artists with your music, and or if you haven't, do you want to?
Oh, that's a lovely question. That's beautiful. Yeah, I think there's lots in common between music and dance. You know that music and dance are both about line, you say form, about weight, accents. Oh, very good. Yeah, accents, movement, stillness, gravity. You know, communication, humor. You know, like relationship. It's beautiful. It's all the same forces. So yeah, I dig it. I haven't worked extensively with dancers specifically, though I have had some amazing experiences working with dancers. When I was a very young person, I think about 14 or 15, I was asked to write a piece for a dance. It's like a dance troupe, and they were doing a dance, and I said, Jacob, write us a piece. And I thought, oh. And then I wrote this piece, and it was really interesting because it makes you think about your choices differently. It's like it simplifies your musical decisions. Or what's going up, what's going down, you know, what's going to inspire, what am I seeing when I listen to this, what am I seeing? And it helped me a lot, and I'd really like to do more, because I think there is so much common ground to be found between all these different avenues. And in a sense, I think that 2024 right now is it's the best time I've ever seen for cross-disciplinary collaboration, you know, because so many people want to work together. It's like, I just want to make stuff, come on guys. And so I'm loving the openness that I'm perceiving in the music industry and beyond, and just in terms of how to join these dots together, join the lines together and make it for everybody. I think it's very, very inspiring. And thanks for saying all that stuff, and I agree, there's so much common ground, and I'd like to do more, you know. Yeah. Cool, you're welcome for sure. Cool, I might take just two more questions. And then I'll play a song to finish off. Let's see. I haven't been over this side, at the back of this side yet. So I'm going to take a question from. Oh my God! Hi Jacob, what's up? Nice to see you.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's an honor to meet you, first of all. Just have a little.
Can I shake your hand as well?
It's just a quick one. All right. So, do you have an actual first ever memory of a moment where you were exposed to music when you were just a little kid?
Yeah. Great question. Yeah, I remember being on my mother's lap, like sitting on her lap, and looking up and seeing the violin above me, like the ceiling of the house, and then hearing the violin, and it's like I was like inside the music, you know? That's a crazy feeling. I'll never forget that. It's a beautiful feeling. That's probably like one of my earliest memories. But there were a few moments like that where I found myself in the middle of something musical, and it's like, this is cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, very good. Okay, superb. Okay, I'm going to go over to the other side now. And I'm going to back. And I'm going to take a question from.
Hi, Jacob.
How are you?
Fine. So, well, my question is, where do you get your ideas from doing riffs?
Riffs?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great. So, okay, a riff is an interesting thing because a riff can be musical, like dun 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 dun. Vocal riffs, you mean? Vocal riffs. Okay. Well, I guess I think about riffs. I don't think about riffs like a singer. I think about riffs like a piano player more. You know, so I see the harmonies changing. So, like in Bridge Over Troubled Water, for example, all the riffs at the end. It's like I wasn't really thinking, okay, a singer is going to do this. I was more thinking, okay, so I want to hear this passageway. And I sang it in myself, and it was rough. But then obviously Tori can sing it all, so it's kind of like crazy. But I think about the harmony centers, and I join the dots. So I can show you the end of Bridge. So it's like, yeah. So where should go? B major. Yeah. And I knew I wanted to go back to this A flat. Oh, when you need a friend. No. What is that? So, I know this works because it's one of those clever things where you're on one note and you pivot to a different key. It's like quite a Brian Wilson-y thing to do. So, I'm sailing with my breeze. You think it's going to be like, but it goes, which is like triumphant, and then it all starts. I guess you think how I think about the riffs. It's like I'm just fashioning a way to the chord I want to get to. So obviously the melody is over troubled water, right? But it's just like it's an embellishment of it, you know. And I've been listening to like Tori and all these amazing singers for so many years. I kind of just like turn on the tap of Tori Kelly and like that just came out. You know? I'm not sure who takes credit for that, but probably her. Troubled war, I will lay me down. This is like, it's just a way of outlining the dominant chord, I guess. Yeah. Like as a piano player, you would play this kind of thing, but you wouldn't necessarily sing it unless you were Tori Kelly. Lay me down, lay me. And again, I knew I wanted to go there for that to feel like an arrival, so I just had to figure out a way of lay me, lay me. And that just, it's like you're highlighting the contrast between chords. So if I went like, that's fine, but going, lay me, lay me. This note is like far away from the eventual note, so I think it just, in my mind as a painter, it's like you're highlighting the contrast. Lay me down, lay. And this is like, I knew I wanted to go back to A flat. The whole of this verse is moving between B and A flat. It's like two amazing keys, two of the best. Yeah. Again, it's like it's almost pianistic. Yeah. If I think like a singer, then I'll do singery stuff. But I wanted to go further. So, yeah. Again, that's the contrast. Is that one. And here, you know, I could have done lay me, or even lay me, but going lay me, it's like like when we're not home, but we're gonna get home, you know. It's like delaying, and then delaying again, lay me, and then this ridiculous line, lay. What's the chord? Lay. That one. It's just like, again, a singer. Thank you. Yeah, a singer. No singer would normally. I'm basically spelling out a chord. It's a voice. It's like a piano chord, and Tori goes. And then a bluesy. You know. And then for the end. It's like, because Tori is home by this point. She's got home, but I'm just not quite there yet. A home in the high voices, but the left voices, it's not home yet. So Tori's saying, no, I'm home, right? But, and then, you know, then they unite and you get home. So it's a journey for sure, but thank you. Thanks. There's no better like resolution in my mind. That is such a beautiful chord because it's both home, literally the home chord is in the chord, but it's also really far away from there, and it's in an inversion, which means that in this section, the end. I couldn't remember what these chords are. Everything's going do, contrary motion, like Bach, you know. So low note goes down, right note goes up. So, and it's still going. Still going down, and then when you get down, you've gone down. So it's like all the motion is pulling apart. But this chord is so interesting because you've got tension, you know, tensions like tension, and then tension, and it's all like, you know, that's basically the best way I can describe it. And then, like, you know, you were there. But the reason that feels so powerful is because you are already there. You know, if it was like, that's just naff, cheesy. But it's like this, like who cares? You know? But the thing about this, which is so beautiful, is it's like you are home, you're already home. But I just haven't quite figured out how to see it until I change the colors around it. So it's like I don't change the chord, I change the context. Does that make sense? So I love all this stuff. It's like it's real like paintership. But obviously the other thing about bridge, which is like other a cappella arrangements I've done, which makes it fun and powerful, is that I'm not playing on the piano. I'm singing every note, and some of the notes I'm singing like 6 or 7 times on top of each other. So it's like I'm really controlling the amount of resonance in the sound. So, for example, at the end, I'm going like oh, oh, and by the time I get to that note, you can hear like all the overtones. There's like shining. You can hear like you know all that. You can hear it. It's all glistening. So if you sing, and you can try it at home, if you sing like 11 times, you just hear like all these overtones, and then you tune into those overtones. And so a lot of the contrast in original this, it's not just harmonically what notes do I choose to play or not play. It's like how do I sing the chord? Oh, wow, cool. Yeah, it's like it's like how do I sing the chord? You know, is it ooh or ooh or ooh or ooh? You know, if I go, I'm trying to think like, for example, when Tori goes, she goes, lay me. Right, I'm going like, ooh, I'm literally singing like that, but I'm singing like that like so many times that it averages out. You know, and the contrast between ooh and is like so emotional, because she's going lay me, like lay me down, unison, like you know. So all those choices like vibrato, tone, form, and overtones, these are all things that I consider when I'm recording the arrangements. But once again, like I don't think about them I'm not applying theories or concepts. I built a language from 10 to 15 years of a cappella recording of stuff I know works, and then I'm using those principles again. Like I know how to unlock that because I've just done it before. And that was from listening to like D'Angelo records and like all this stuff. You think, oh, I like the way he did this, and I like or Take 6 records, or you grapple with the principles, then you build stuff that works. But all of them, all the tools you have in your toolkit, they can all combine in favor of like this emotional experience that you are having. And I think the other important thing to say is that I think you were saying about intention. You know, you play with intention. I don't always know what I'm going for. Like if I'm playing the piano, I'm not thinking, right, I'm gonna make the audience feel despair, longing. You know, I don't think in that way, or happy or joy. I'm just playing, and as I play, like I discover as much as you what I'm feeling. You know, like we all learn together. And I think that was the thing with Bridge that I found really profound, was I knew the power of Bridge Over Troubled Water was a song I've loved for my whole life, but I didn't know what I was quite going to find in the arranging of it. But the arrangement took me 3 days, so it was very quick. I didn't have time to hesitate and think, oh, okay, well maybe I'll come back to that tomorrow. It's like I just like didn't have very much time to make the album in the final stages. And Tori recorded the vocal like a matter of days before the album was delivered. So it was just kind of like, well, this is it, you know, we'll make it work. And so I learned, it's like, oh, interesting. I seem to have done this. I appear to be singing this. I think, oh, that's interesting. I'm not necessarily thinking, right, I'm going to really convince people that this and that, the other. I'm just thinking, I'm going to play and I'm going to pour all of my, like, I know about gravity, I know about push and pull, I know about the forces on my terms. Best I can do is just to say this is the best painting I can imagine that is making this song shine. And I discover how it feels as I'm painting it. And that's the thing that will eventually transmit. But it's kind of outside my control. You know, I can't necessarily design what I want to say or what I like. Going back to the same thing before, is I just have to just let it come out. And then we all learn what it was like. Oh, gosh, you know. But Bridge, something like Bridge is, for me, it's fun because I feel like I've got a lot of experience in the a cappella world. So I get a lot of joy out of pulling those harmonics, those emotional harmonic feelings out. And I knew Jesse Volume 4 needed a song like that on it, because there's like nothing else that I've ever heard or made that hits that nerve for me of like, than like a wall of voices can do. I think there's something important about that for me. So, yeah. So to go back to the question, riffs. I think the riffs come from the chords. The chords come from the feeling, and then the feeling comes from the riffs, and it all goes around in a great big circle. But I was so inspired by Tori singing those live. It was just absolutely filthy, like ridiculous, insane musicianship, and her ability to recall what I'd sung, sing it back. And we just had such a fun. It was like 55 minutes, the session. It was so short. I went to her house in LA and we did it, and it was just incredible. And we worked together on it and carved it. And then that same night, it was like probably about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. She was playing a show, opening for the Jonas Brothers actually with some other friends of mine. And I went home that day to where I was staying in LA, and I recorded all the voices that day. And then I took a flight to Mumbai, and I delivered the album from Mumbai. It was just a crazy last-minute thing. But anyway, I hope that answers the question. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. I know I said 2 more questions, but that was a lot. So I actually, if it's okay, I might just play a song, because I know you have busy schedules. Are there any requests? Anyone want to hear a particular song? You don't know, babe, when you hold me and you kiss me slowly, it's the sweetest thing, and it don't change if I had it my way. You're the coffee that I need in the morning. You're the sunshine in the rain when it's pouring. Won't you give yourself to me? Give it all. I just wanna see how beautiful you are. You know that I see it. I know you're a star. When no matter how. If life is a movie, then you're the best part. Oh, you're the best part. Oh, you're the best part. Oh, you're the best part. It's the sunrise and those brown eyes, yeah. You're the one that I desire. And when we wake up, then we make love. It makes me feel so nice. You're my water when I'm stuck in the desert. You're the tablet that I take when my head hurts. You're the sunshine on my life. Oh, hey, I just wanna see how beautiful you are. You know that I see it. I know you're a star. Where you go, I follow, no matter how far. If life is a movie, then you're the best part. Oh, you're the best part. Oh, you're the best part. Oh, you're the best part. If you love me, won't you say something? If you love me, won't you? If you love me, won't you say something? If you love me, won't you? Love me, won't you? If you love me, won't you say something? If you love me, won't you? If you love me, won't you say something? If you love me, won't you? Love me, won't you? If you love me, won't you say something? If you love me, won't you? Oh, if you love me, won't you say something? If you love me, won't you? Love me, won't you? If you love me, won't you? Love me, won't you? Love me, won't you say? If you love me, won't you? Won't you? If you love me, won't you say something? If you love me, won't you? Love me, won't you? The sun is in my eyes. The sun is in your eyes. Throw me the cold, throw me the cold, cold water of your smile again. To take me by surprise. Take me by surprise. Throw me the bowl, bowl, bowl. Throw me the bowl, bowl. Oh, treasure of your lips again. Again and again and again. affection. With your love as my protection, I'll be a world to your projection. No, 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 no. Singing songs to your affection, with rhymes to your perfection. In my eyes see a reflection of you. I see you clearly now. I hold you dearly now. The sun is in my eyes, in my eyes, Hi, I love the way that I feel when you put your arms on me. There must be something I can say to make you say, oh hi, oh. I love the way that you get in the groove when you walk away. Only me. 'Cause every time I think about it, can't stop thinking about it. You were all I need. Hey! Hi. I love thinking of all the kisses you could give me if I came around right now. There must be something I could say to make kiss. Oh, hi. I love the illumination you bring to all the ordinary things I found. 'Cause every time I think about it, can't stop thinking about it. Oh no, you were all I need. Singing all I need. I'm singing in the starlight underneath the moonlight. Oh, oh no, 'cause I love your smile and it makes me feel alright. Alright, I was singing to the song. You were loving me the one for me. Let your love shine out. Let your love shine down. Singing all I need. Hey, so I'll be. 'Cause I love you. Alrighty, I'll be singing to the. Let your love shine. Let your love shine down. I'll be singing in the starlight underneath the moonlight. 'Cause I love your smile and it makes me feel alright. Alright, I will sing it to the sun, but I'll be the one. Let your love shine out. Let your love shine out. Thank you all so much. Thank you. It's a total and utter joy to come and hang out with you all. Thanks for spending an hour and a half with me, of all people. Thank you for the flowers and the lovely doll. There's not a better way I can imagine having started off my world tour. So thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Love you all. Thank you.